Welcome, Rush Holt.
Thank you for speaking English.
Yeah,
it's good to be with you.
Yeah, and happy 4th of July.
Yes, this is a day we celebrate in the United States, and even here with the ambassador.
Yeah. So how is it to celebrate 4th of July, Independence Day in Sweden? You should be waving flags and everything.
Well, you know, Sweden was one of the very first countries to recognize the new United States after the War of Independence.
Yeah.
So we remember that.
Yeah. You're a former congressman, and now you work with the advancement of science.
That's right.
Yeah.
I served in the U.S. House of Representatives for 16 years,
yeah.
and now for 2.5 years I've been the head of the American Association for the Advancement of Science.
Yeah. And you're a Democrat, it's, I guess, important to say. I traveled to London a couple of weeks ago, and I met a lot of Americans. And I think all of them said, I don't want to talk about Donald Trump. I don't want to defend Donald Trump. I don't want to talk about the American president. Do you feel the same?
Well, first I should say, at the American Association for the Advancement of Science, we are nonpartisan.
Yeah, but I just wanted to...
But we are very interested in the advancement of science, the state of science. We feel it's important to defend the scientific process when it is challenged, and right now it is being challenged.
Yeah.
Not just by the U.S. Administration, but it's been happening for more and more years. It's really interesting. Science has never been so good in the United States. The research is excellent. The product of the research is excellent. Most Americans say they really value science. However, more and more people are denying their children vaccinations. More and more people are doubting climate change. More and more people are saying, well, opinion and evidence, well, those are about the same.
Yeah.
They're losing a respect for evidence. We see this really around the world. It didn't begin with the election of Donald Trump. But then soon after the election of Donald Trump, he said, well, there were 1 million people at my inauguration. And then his assistant said, well, that's just an alternate fact.
Yeah.
Here at Almedalen, there's a lot of talk about fake news.
Yeah,
and
definitely.
Substituting opinion for evidence. I think that's a serious matter.
Isn't it also very worrying, as you say about science, things that we know are true and things that we have known for years are true? For instance, you say vaccine. We have a president now in the USA that has said, well, I don't know. I don't know if you should give your children a vaccine.
President Trump has paid very little attention to science. He seems to be careless with evidence. And there are perhaps 4 or 5 dozen, maybe 50, 60 appointments to be made in the administration that traditionally have been filled by people who either are scientists or are friends of science, who have a feeling for science. Maybe 10 of those are filled now only. There are many vacancies in this administration, but even more in the science positions. The proposals for the funding for research are truly devastating if they were to happen. Now, fortunately, in the American system, the president does not appropriate funds. It is Congress that does that. I think Congress will be kinder to science.
No, hopefully.
We hope.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, what a lot of people, at least here in Europe, and I know also in the States, reacted very strongly about was that Donald Trump decided to jump off or to dismiss the Paris Accord.
The Paris Accord.
Yeah.
And environmental protection. You know, they are trying to undo much of the science-based environmental protection. In fact, they have disbanded some of the science advisory committees for the Environmental Agency. And on the Paris Climate Accord, you know, there's room for political difference, but they seem to be dismissing the very idea of climate science. And that troubles us.
I got to ask you, since you're here and as a former Democratic congressman, What do you think will happen?
I'm sure you've been interviewing people all week, and you're having trouble getting anyone, I'm sure, to be able to explain what has happened and to predict what will happen.
And we're only a couple of months in.
You know, I was in the U.S. Congress for 16 years. I consider myself politically astute. I would say in the past year, the lesson that I have learned is that I know nothing. I do not understand politics. This has been so unusual this year, this past year. And the president is, I mean, every day his Twitter comments are just going in an entirely new direction. It's very hard to predict.
Yeah. There's a lot of talk about the GOP and Donald Trump, of course, but not so much talk about the Democrats, more than what they're going to do to stop him. But who do you see as the next Democratic president? Is there
well, it's too early for that.
Yeah, of course.
As far as the Democratic standard bearer, there's certainly, you know, Dick Durbin and Chuck Schumer and Nancy Pelosi are strong, smart political people for the Democrats.
But old establishment.
But we don't see a leader that people are excited about, quite honestly. And so I don't know where that will go. The Republicans actually are not sure whom to follow. They are intrigued with President Trump, but I think most of the Republicans that I know in office don't see him as the leader of their party. So it is. It's very hard to predict where things will head in partisan politics. But now, at the American Association for the Advancement of Science, I'm no longer doing partisan politics.
Maybe you should run for president. Okay, thank you very much, and have a nice day in Sweden.
Great to be with you, Thomas.
Thank you.
Thank you.